All right, before we start today's show, I want to remind you the UDK is here. Guys, did you hear this? The Ultimate Draft Kit is back. Let me read you just some of the Twitter reviews that have been coming through. Greg wrote in, he said, at the FF Ballers, with the UDK, I feel a mixture of cheating, and I'm just way smarter than my league mates. So a nice mixture of cheating and being smarter than your league mates, and it just feels right, is what he said.
You don't want 100% cheating.
No, you want like a 50-50 mix.
Yeah. Right.
Jesse Reeves, I am enjoying this UDK from the FF Ballers so much. Wow. Just wow. Just wow.
Nice.
Last one here from Greg at the FF Ballers. You guys could all go out and get your master's degree and use the UDK as your thesis. The research alone is outstanding. So the reviews are in.
Can I really do that?
Probably not. Probably not. But check out the Ultimate Draft Kit. Jam-packed. We're adding to it every day. UltimateDraftKit.com.
Welcome to the Fantasy Footballers Podcast, coming to you from the FantasyJocks.com studios with your hosts, Andy Holloway, Jason Moore, and Mike Wright.
We're back.
It's good to be back, America.
It's good to be back.
Thursday, June 8th, 2017.
No
We're
tacos
back.
today.
I'm telling you right now, these are some of my favorite episodes. I'm excited. These are fun episodes. Today we have early breakouts and busts on the show. Great quick question. Going to drop some knowledge on you. I'm excited, too, because we are bringing forth breakouts and busts from our own personal rankings, guys that we really like. Going to make the case on why we think they're going to break out, why we think they're going to fall short on the show today. Now, Jason, you're getting ready to head out of town. Is that correct?
Yes, it is. I'm
a
going
well-deserved
to
vacation.
Universal Studios.
Oh, well-deserved, my friend.
Maybe I'll see you there this weekend.
You're not talking to us,
I am
right?
not. No, I am not. I'm talking to the people.
It's like the company credit card?
I'm talking
maybe?
to the Foot Clan out there.
All right, so that's on the show today. Quick question, though, real quick, out of the gates. What player will you not own this year? So this could be based on ADP or just a lifelong hatred of a player. But who are you not going to own this year based on average draft position? Somebody you just think is going to end up on zero of your rosters.
I'll jump in here because people might think this is hot takes.
Oh,
and I'm
gosh.
saying Leonard Fournette will not be on any of my teams. And this is a matter of the ADP is rising, of course, since the draft, but it will continue to rise, in my opinion, to a place where I don't want to take the risk on this rookie running back on a bad team. Is he the pass catcher? I don't know. I mean,
Ron Burgundy?
T.J. Yeldon, the 7th most targeted running back last year. He had 4 targets fewer than Duke Johnson. He had as many receptions as LaShawn McCoy. T.J. Yeldon is perfectly fine as a pass catcher. So will they completely abandon that? And I bring that up because Jacksonville's going to be in a lot of negative game scripts when it comes to a power runner like Leonard Fournette. So I believe by the time it's draft season, he's going to be
presumably
too
a
much.
lot of negative game scripts. Historically speaking.
Yes, I would.
Hey, look.
Maybe Jacksonville.
Did you hear
turns it
Tom
around.
Coughlin came out and said Blake Bortles, all the mechanics have been pretty much fixed?
Oh, that's
done deal.
I take it all back. I take it all back off of one statement.
I moved Bortles down a little bit in my rankings today.
Because Coughlin said that?
No, just based
I
on.
don't believe you.
Wait. Coughlin said something positive, and you love Tom Coughlin. How is Blake Bortles not skyrocketed?
I don't love
to
him
top
that much.
5.
Look, the team's philosophy is going to change. I'm with Mike Clay on this. They drafted Fournette for a reason. They're going to transition this offense a little bit. I'm not as bullish on the garbage time Blake Bortles because I think they're going to try to slow the games down, less possessions, some defense.
Yeah,
So,
we're all trying a lot of things this year. I'm trying to get in shape.
Yeah, we see. Okay.
Yeah, I understand the argument against Fournette. He'll certainly be on several of my fantasy teams just because, every year there's on average over the last decade 1.5 rookie running backs that finish as an RB1. So I'm going to take the shot on the guy who goes 4th overall and is going to be given the keys to the kingdom. The guy who will not end up on any of my fantasy teams.
I have not seen this until now.
And I'm not just talking about Brandon Marshall because I'm mostly in leagues with Andy.
Stop it.
And he'll take him well before me. But no.
I've moved him down 2.
That's good.
To number 2 overall.
No, my guy that I will not have on any of my teams is Doug Martin.
Take that.
Dougie Fresh.
Yeah, that's just as offensive to me.
Here's
as
why
Brandon
I
Marshall.
won't have Doug Martin on any of my rosters. I was blown away when I looked and saw that his average draft position is in the 4th round right now. Now, I expect it to drop.
Fantasy football calculator,
But yes,
by the way.
according to Fantasy Football Calculator, I expect it to drop. But let's say it goes, down a whole round and it's in the 5th. You're talking about a bona fide starter. If you draft Doug Martin, I am saying I have to make the rest of my starters one round later, because I'm taking a guy who's not playing for the first 3 weeks. Now I'm going to have to not only deal with those first 3 weeks and have lost my 4th or 5th round pick, but I'm also going to have to get another guy to kind of plug in for those few weeks and kind of change my strategy going later.
Well,
I'm just
you won't have
bypassing.
lost the pick because you will get it back in week 4.
Sure, and
that's a lost pick.
There are plenty of if you draft Doug Martin in the 4th round and you lose those first 3 weeks and he comes back and he is rookie year Doug Martin, you're probably going to be all right because he's going to help you win.
2 year ago Doug Martin. But no, I understand
not
that.
all of the other years Doug Martin. And so
the other 2, yes.
If this was Le'Veon Bell, the other 3. If
you're counting last year?
Yeah.
Yes,
Why would
I
you not
certainly
count
am.
last year?
He was hurt.
That's a problem.
He was hurt those yeah.
Okay.
So I'm just saying.
Let me get to the part where I agree with you. That's going to be a philosophy that I think is
all right, I will let you say that.
many subscribe to. I am okay taking Doug Martin and then grabbing Terrence West or John Stewart or somebody later and having that. I mean, look, if he is a great value in the 5th round, I have vastly improved my team by week 4. But I understand not wanting to do that for sure. For me, it's Tyreek Hill. Tyreek Hill's a player I'm not going to own, which might seem surprising because I love Tyreek.
But Andy,
voice of public opinion.
But the thing is Jeremy Maclin just left, so he's the number 1 wide receiver.
That's the only reason I won't own him.
Right?
Because his ADP right now is around guys like Michael Crabtree and Jarvis Landry.
Crabtree?
Oh, yeah. Demaryius Thomas.
Come on, we're better
Sammy
than this.
Watkins.
America.
And
World.
And
we're
it
better
hasn't
than
even
this.
that's not even moved to where it's going to move. The Tyreek the Freak train.
Yeah, it's leaving the station.
The hype train is going to be 3rd round. And you can get all those other guys at the top of the 4th. So that's why would I ever do that? I just don't see any reason why I would have him. I don't care if Andy Reid comes out and says he's the one. You guys both, when Jeremy Maclin went to Kansas City and we said he's the one, what was the retort? It's Kansas City.
Who cares? I don't want the one for Kansas City and Alex Smith.
Now he's a great player. When in space, make a big play. He's going to have huge weeks. I just won't own him because I will have Demaryius Thomas or Jarvis Landry or Michael Crabtree. So, all right, that is it for the quick question. We're going to get into the news in a minute. On Twitter, you can find us at the FF Ballers. Subscribe over on YouTube. You can catch some extras over there, like the show after the show. We're on the Fantasy Sports Network, and the website is thefantasyfootballers.com. And like we said in the intro, the UDK is out. Go get that Ultimate Draft Kit. See what it's all about, ultimatedraftkit.com. Also, want to let people know, we have another great giveaway going on. Just giving free stuff away. I promised our listeners on the last episode that I would just be giving free stuff away, whether either of you like it or not.
We didn't even know. You're going crazy.
Yes. I am planning on taking some of your personal possessions, Mike, and mailing them.
Those are very valuable.
All your personal possessions?
I'm just going to sign other players' jerseys and
that's
give them
not as valuable. Look, a Lev Bell jersey, autographed Lev Bell jersey. We're giving that away.
Autographed by Lev Bell, not Mike.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Well, look, if you win this thing and you want me to sign it, I will do that.
All right.
I will do that.
You're a man of the people, Mike.
Also, a free Ultimate DFS pass for the coming year if you play DFS, and a bunch of swag packs, stuff like that. It's free to enter, completely free. FootClanGiveaway.com. Go check it out. Let's get into the news.
News and notes from around the league.
All right. Eric Decker. He has been informed he will be traded or released by the end of the week. By the time you're listening to this, it may have already happened. Maybe not.
I imagine that meeting was much like the ending of Braveheart, where he just shouts freedom at the top of his lungs.
Get me out of that dying 0-16 hole.
And Jason's theory of the Jets
are
purposely trying to tank. They're trying to lose. It's
Confirmed.
Yeah.
It's not even a joke anymore. I was watching NFL Network this morning. The roundtable was confirming the fact that this team is
How can
100.
you not?
They're like, I hope the NFL is not becoming what the NBA is with Philadelphia, where it's just like, hey, we need to go 0-16. We have no veterans on the team anymore. This team is going to be a wreck. Todd Bowles cannot survive.
Oh,
this.
poor Todd Bowles.
He
Dead
is
man
gone.
walking.
Yeah.
If Arians retires in a couple years, Todd Bowles will come back to Arizona. Mark my words.
Maybe.
All right. Dennis Pitta has been released by the Ravens. This was a cap-saving move, $2.5 million off of the cap with the release of Dennis Pitta. All but confirms what we know. The dislocation in the hip, his career is likely over.
Well, I believe it's also a do-right move by Dennis Pitta because
by the Ravens, you mean?
Yeah, by releasing him, there's no situation where he's going to have to retire, pay things back. They're just saying, we appreciate you, you warrior.
Did you see Calvin Johnson paid back $1 million?
Did
Yeah.
he really?
From his retirement? He paid back the signing bonus.
Well, that's
pretty
what I'm
cool.
talking about.
The
Things you
Ravens
gotta
have
do.
done it right. The
Yeah.
Lions have done it wrong.
Well,
Well, no, the Lions didn't do anything wrong.
they weren't going to release.
They didn't ask for
Calvin
the money.
Johnson.
How did they do it wrong?
Oh, they didn't?
No,
He
no,
just
no.
said,
Calvin
here's $1 million?
volunteered $1 million back. Well, because if you get signed to an extension,
Sure.
out of respect, he was basically saying, hey, I'm going to retire. I'm not going to take advantage of you signing me to that extension
Hey,
since I retired early.
I appreciate the notion. I think that is an incredibly honorable thing. I
But
would
money
wish
is money.
that I would do that myself. I know I wouldn't, though. I'm not. I mean,
Calvin's
if they said
collected a few
you owe me
paychecks.
$1 million, I would say, okay, then let's talk. Here's your $1 million. But I'm not just gonna be like, hey guys, hey Lions, you multi-billion-dollar entity, you want $1 million of my dollars? I wouldn't do it. I'm just saying.
Well, fair enough. You're no Calvin Johnson. That's for
With
sure.
the Dennis Pitta news, though, that is also important to realize they're clearing cap space, which could help in the pursuit of a Jeremy Maclin or Eric Decker. I still think Jeremy Maclin will end up on the Ravens, which will throw a wrench into several people's plans.
Yeah, Maclin visited the Bills over Tuesday and Wednesday. Did not leave with a contract, so he's going to Baltimore to meet with them.
And it was reported it was because of money. They could not agree on a
I did not know that.
contract.
Okay.
Yeah, that was new.
I don't
newer
think he
news.
signs in Baltimore.
Where do you think he
I think
ends
they're
up
going to
then?
wait for Decker in Baltimore, but we'll find out. So
I would take Eric Decker in Baltimore.
yeah, I just think he's a better fit. All right, the Chargers first-round pick Mike Williams
This is not
sidelined
good.
until training camp with a back injury. No more OTAs for Mike Williams. This was a situation where I think everything had to go right for Mike Williams to break into that starting lineup with Keenan Allen, Tyrell Williams, and Benjamin and all those wideouts there. I moved him down a little bit.
Mike
I moved
Williams? Yeah.
Tyrell Williams up a little bit just because rookies need time.
Yeah, and it's a herniated disc. I mean, he's going to need time for that to heal. It's you can't mess around with that type of a situation. It will just get worse, and then you're going to be out for a long time. This is bad news, though, for Mike Williams as he's trying to transition into the offense.
Yeah, we've seen a lot of rookie wide receivers hurt over the last few years in the early parts of camp, and it often derails what could have been a productive season and really does hamper them from getting involved early and being productive through that year. So I agree with you, Andy. I moved Mike Williams down as well, especially with all the other options the Chargers have.
All right, we're going to get into the breakouts and busts. Last bit of news, John Brown tweaked his hamstring. Jason, how are you doing with this news?
I'm not doing well, man, because, similar to what I was just saying with rookie wide receivers, when a wide receiver early in the year has hamstring problems, those often linger. But now when you're dealing with a guy who last year was having problems in his legs, we often bring up the disease that he found last year.
sickle cell trait.
The sickle cell trait. But what was happening because of that was leg issues, essentially. And if he's having hamstring issues again, very much worries me for a guy that I still expect. Like right now, I haven't lowered him yet. If he bounces back and he's a full go in training camp, I'm just going to ignore it and close my eyes and run forward because I'm still predicting a huge breakout for John Brown. But if this comes back at all, even once in training camp, he's going to move down considerably for me.
I feel the exact same way about Corey Coleman because last preseason he started with a hamstring strain. Now he's got another hamstring problem. So repeated soft tissue issues, they're concerning.
Repeat hamstring offender.
Yes.
I like it.
When you talked about closing your eyes and running downfield, I was picturing you when you used to do wide receiver routes.
Yeah,
for
flag football.
Our flag football
I just
team.
grab it and I just grit my teeth and run.
Yeah, it worked okay until the referee started making fun of you.
Boom.
All right, let's do it.
Breakouts.
All right. Mike, that's your fault. It's been a long time since I played that drop. I didn't remember a second guitar riff.
So it's my fault that you did not properly prepare for the show.
That is correct.
I accept full responsibility.
All right. Setting that egregious mistake aside by you, Mike, who's your breakout? Who is your breakout for the 2017 season? Early breakout.
Oh, I'm kicking it off.
All
All
right.
right.
Yeah, you may be third on this list, but it's your turn.
I'm going Stefon Diggs, Minnesota Vikings, last year in 14 games, 84 for 903. Low touchdowns. He only had 3. But for a guy to hit over 900 yards in just 14 games, I think that the sky is the limit for Stefon Diggs. We have Matt Harmon, who's done his reception perception. All that stuff is available in the UDK. And he took a look at Stefon Diggs, and he said this guy is improving across the board. Not only did he post a solid success versus coverage his rookie season, he improved, and that's what you want to see. And you're talking a great contested catch rate, a contested catch rate for Stefon Diggs that was better than Julio, Demaryius Thomas, Larry Fitzgerald in the sample size that Matt Harmon did. He was never under 5 targets a game. 4 games with double-digit targets. His pace, if he had played a full 16, he was easily over 1,100 yards. He's going in the 7th round of PPR. And you got – He's
going in the 7th round.
He's going in the 7th round.
You compare that to Tyreek, who's going to climb into the back of the 3rd.
Exactly. And he can take over games. This isn't just going to be a trickle of having a nice PPR floor. We saw him in weeks 1 and 2. He's
the number 1 wide receiver.
Said, throw me the ball.
I believe in week 2.
And he's got the quarterback who posted the most accurate season of all time in Sam Bradford. But there are pieces around him too. So let's say you don't fully believe that Stefon Diggs can be the guy. He has other players on the team that can take the defense away. I think that Stefon Diggs is really set up for a 3rd-year breakout.
It makes sense that you would like him.
Because he's injured all the time?
Yes.
You might as well call him the strain train. Because 3 times last year he missed separate games. Week 4, groin strain. Week 15, hip strain. Week 11, knee strain. That's the problem. When we talked about him early in the offseason, there were times you'd watch him. I mean, we watched him rookie year. Jason and I, we were like, that guy's special. He's a special player.
Yes.
You can just tell with your eyes.
He was the type of guy that turned our heads. He'd be on in the background or on a different TV, and we'd catch something from the side, from our peripheral vision. We'd go, whoa, what was that?
For me, it's always been the case of I'm worried about the injuries. I don't know if he can physically stay healthy enough to constitute a breakout season as opposed to breakout games and then disappointing games.
That's a very fair point. That's the one thing that keeps Stefon Diggs from breaking out this season. There's a lot of we're in buzz time, but there's a lot of positive buzz talking about this Minnesota offense. We already know that the defense is spectacular. I think that the play from Sam Bradford, who was pretty good last year with absolutely no time to get congruency with the team, gave him a whole offseason. I think things that can drastically improve.
I love the draft position.
Yeah, the injury risk that you bring up is what makes him such a good breakout candidate, because that's really the only thing standing in his way of having a very good fantasy season.
Not Laquan Treadwell?
No. How many?
He might literally stand in the way.
How many targets does Laquan Treadwell get this year?
Ooh,
I think it's going to be a better year.
He had 1 catch last year.
Yeah.
His year is going to look a lot like
got 50.
my breakout candidate's year went last year.
I'm not bailing on Treadwell
Speaking of
yet.
players that are perfectly healthy, I'm going to move on to my breakout candidate.
This is so funny.
I'm teasing it.
Okay.
I'm not saying the name because I want to take a second. I want to thank Omaha Steaks for sponsoring today's podcast. Look, if you're looking for the perfect Father's Day gift, which, I'm looking for the perfect Father's Day gift. I hope my kids are looking for this.
That's the important part.
Avoid that last-minute hustle. Get hooked up with this deal. A ton of the Foot Clan have already done that. The Omaha Steaks deal. For $49.99, you can get the limited-time Father's Day package. You go to omahasteaks.com, and listen, enter the code FANTASY.
Fantasy.
Don't forget it, FANTASY.
Not ballers.
Fantasy.
It's a lot of people asking. It's just fantasy.
And you put it in the search bar. You get 80% off. Here's what you get. Let me take a breath. 2 filet mignons, 2 top sirloins, 4 chicken fried steaks, 4 boneless pork chops, 4 burgers, 4 jumbo franks, a 12-ounce package of all beef meatballs, 1 pound of fries, 4 caramel apple tartlets. I don't even know what a tartlet is, but they're delicious.
Oh, they're unbelievable.
1 Omaha steak seasoning package, plus get 4 additional burgers for free. All of this for less than $50. I have eaten most of these things already. They're amazing. I hope that my kids order a second round of Omaha Steaks. So if you're looking for a convenient and quick Father's Day gift, go to omahasteaks.com. Enter our code FANTASY in the search bar. Add the family gift pack to your cart. You get 80% off. That is ridiculous.
We want to thank BarkBox for sponsoring today's show, giving you that subscription treat for your pet, your mutt.
Today, right when I was showing my cousin Lauren the studio, heard we were doing a BarkBox ad. Literally, she just said, "I love BarkBox." So we said, "Why?" She said, "Her dog loves BarkBox."
Yeah, that's the truth.
And because loving the all-natural treats, there's great new toys that are curated especially for your dog. There's different themes. Everyone, who doesn't love a good theme, fellas? Because
I love a good theme, Mike.
I love a good theme. You know, and dogs enjoy a good theme as well. And if your dog really loves something, you can easily find it to pick up more on the barkshop.com or the BarkBox app. We know that apps are extremely easy to use. Your dog could probably use it.
Yeah.
And click that button.
I don't have a dog, but
they're all about dog happiness. Visit barkbox.com/fantasyfootballers. Get an extra premium toy free in your BarkBox every month when you subscribe to a 6 or 12-month plan and select yes, please, when asked if you have a playful pup. That's barkbox.com/fantasyfootballers for an extra premium toy free.
Hey, we do thank those sponsors for keeping the lights on here. I'm going to break the tease here. Breshad Perriman is my breakout candidate for this season.
Interesting.
Did you click that injury thing on
I did.
it?
I sorted by most likely to be injured. No, Breshad Perriman, look, it has not been a pleasant beginning to this career for Breshad Perriman. High draft pedigree, beautiful combine, athletic freak, 4.24 40, 6'2", 212, seemingly the perfect match for Joe Flacco, right? This offseason, the now released, now injured Dennis Pitta, he came out, he said, look, nobody has had a better camp than Breshad Perriman. And I know it's just hype, but they say he keeps making plays, he's working hard. A lot went wrong for him in the beginning of his career. But let me tell you, their depth chart right now at wide receiver, it's Mike Wallace. There are guys named Chris Matthews, the former host of Hardball. Okay, no, it's a different Chris Matthews.
I was really
Chris
hoping
Moore,
it was Hardball.
Look, there are 335 missing targets from last season. I think we know what Mike Wallace is. I told these guys before the show, Mike Wallace is not made to be a headlining wide receiver. Now, do I think Perryman's made to be that this year? Probably not. But I think these guys are going to be dueling ones. But the thing is, Mike Wallace isn't being drafted in the 12th round, but Breshad Perriman is. And with 335 targets available on that offense, I think he's going to have every opportunity to be what they drafted him to be, which is a top-of-the-line type of wide receiver who can make big plays. And if you looked at last year, you saw improvements. Over the second half of the season, Breshad Perriman's fantasy efficiency and production, it more than doubled the first half of the season on about the same amount of targets. That tells me that him and Joe Flacco were finding a rapport. He was finding his way through NFL defenses for the first time. And that was one of the knocks on him. Coming out, great athlete, going to take a little time to figure out NFL defenses. I think you started to see it. And in the 12th round, music to my ears.
Yeah, I was going to say when you were referencing the hype, of course it's just hype coming from Dennis Pitta. But if you remember,
he only speaks the truth.
If you remember last year, there was no hype. Around Perriman, everything was negative. The coaches were unhappy with
back?
him. Yeah, unhappy with the recovery from his injuries. But then even when he was around, he's got a lot of work to do. So if the hype has changed, at least it's it's not just from the Dolphins where everything is always great.
Everything is awesome.
Yeah, exactly.
That's their theme song. That's what they play.
Should be. Go sports team.
All right, 2 wide receiver breakouts. Jason, you went with the wide receiver as well, straight out of the UDK. So this is one we all agree on.
This is one we all agree on. It's one that we really liked last year, and there were a lot of reasons why. It's Willie Snead. You got that need for Snead. One of the things, if you were around in the off-season, early off-season, we did a show where we say, what are things we want to remember from this year so that going into 2017 we can become better as analysts, as fantasy football players. And one of those things for me was to realize that sometimes we're a year early on a guy, and that the guys we liked the year prior that didn't really break out the way we wanted, they did that last year. And so coming into this year, Willie Snead could be one of those guys that's just we were 1 year early on him. What happened with Willie Snead, and he was still great this last year as far as just overall production in the 15 games he played, but he moved from the outside. He was, in that,
well, if you remember,
for all intents and purposes, his, quote, rookie season, which was 2 years ago, he was on the outside 70+% of the time. This year he moved to the slot 70+% of the time as Michael Thomas came in. Well, Michael Thomas. Now you have the departure of Brandin Cooks, and Ted Ginn is not going to be able to fill that role. So there's 7 missing touchdowns, 117 missing targets. I am not necessarily saying that those things are going to elevate Willie Snead to a different level as far as, he's going to soak all those in. Drew Brees is spreading the ball around. But Drew Brees, just like last year, he made 2 wide receiver ones. He's going to make 2 wide receiver ones, and if not, he's going to make a wide receiver 1 and a wide receiver high 2, and that's going to be Willie Snead. Willie Snead over the last 2 years combined, playing only 15 games each season, his total yards, 1879, that's just behind Emmanuel Sanders, Amari Cooper, Allen Robinson, A.J. Green, Pierre Garçon, ahead of Randall Cobb, Stefon Diggs, Jeremy Maclin. I mean, some of those guys have missed games in that time. But then you talk about the talent. Do you know how many guys – so the gold standard for wide receiver, just looking at their routes, that's reception perception. That's Matt Harmon. That's why we've got it in the Ultimate Draft Kit this year. Do you know how many guys of our top 50 wide receivers scored above average rate in success against coverage in every single route? How many wide receivers did this?
I know the answer because I'm looking right at it.
The answer is 1. There was only 1 in the entire league, and his name was Willie Snead. He is a good wide receiver. He's a good wide receiver.
He hasn't changed it, has
with
he?
a great quarterback
now.
And an opportunity that's left.
Willie
Draft
Breakout,
Willie
maybe.
Yes.
Hey, look, I'm going to put you on the spot before we get into the bus.
Willie.
Listen.
Willie Snead.
I think they're already listening. I think they've seen the Ultimate Draft Kit, because here's the thing. Willie Snead is going ahead of Stefon Diggs right now. Willie Snead is going right where Jamison Crowder is going. So this or that, oof. Stefon Diggs, Willie Snead, which one are you taking?
Man,
for the draft price right now, I'm going with whoever's later, and that's Diggs.
They're basically the
back
same.
to back.
They're basically the same.
It's not
they
around.
They're back-to-back wide receivers.
I'm going Willie Snead. I'm going to take.
So you'll take the upside 2 versus the possible breakout 1.
Correct.
You're doing terrible things to me over here, making me go Snead or
you can
Diggs.
never decide anything. Name one.
I would go Diggs.
Brooks, who do you got? Diggs or Snead?
I got the need.
Oh,
yes. I was hoping
I would take Diggs.
I was hoping you'd go Crowder because that's a lot easier for me.
Yeah.
That's Snead.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All right. Let's move on.
Bus.
I waited.
Like a professional.
For sure. That's what I am. All right. Let's get into the busts. Early busts. Everybody wants to know who an early avoidance candidate might be. For me, for my rankings, what I see in the average draft position, I'm going to make the case for Carlos Hyde. Now, Mike, am I correct in the fact that you still believe in Carlos Hyde?
I still firmly believe in the player. The draft price is a little sketchy to me, but I still believe in Hyde despite all of what's happening. You'll get to a lot of that stuff, though.
Right now, Carlos Hyde is still a third-round pick in fantasy.
Yeah, that's a little rough.
And you can believe in the talent. I think he has talent. I think he's a very talented runner when he's been on the field. Let me give you the timeline that pushes me towards Carlos Hyde, the bust, for 2017. Preseason last year, concussion. Week 6 last year, shoulder strain, missed a couple of games coming off of, that was an injury-plagued 2016, coming off of 2015 where he was hurt as well with the foot stress fracture. But let's turn to this year. The 49ers, they go out, they sign Mike Shanahan or Kyle Shanahan, and they bring in John Lynch. So new regime. In fact, when you listen to John Lynch talk about Carlos Hyde, he says, hey, there's a new regime in town. He has to prove himself. They asked him. A lot of people thought Carlos Hyde, maybe he's on the outs. They went and they talked to John Lynch, and his response was filled with equivocation. It was filled with, I hope, he might, we think. It wasn't something that made you think Carlos Hyde was firmly cemented as the one, okay? We think he can be a highly productive player. We're eager to see it. But there have been questions throughout camp about the scheme fit for Carlos Hyde. If you fast forward now to the draft, Kyle Shanahan handpicks Joe Williams in the 4th round, trades up for him, gets permission to do so. The team trades for Capri Bibbs, somebody they obviously felt fit their system. Brings in Tim Hightower. Brings
Spent
in
a ton of money on
Kyle Juszczyk. Yeah. OTAs have hit now. Carlos Hyde, beat reporters are watching the 49ers, and they say, slowest and most indecisive running back on the field.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of running backs on the field. They said his vision
Tim Hightower's there.
Yeah, the vision isn't matching up to the scheme so far. Now, that could be whatever. Maybe it's taken him some time to find his way through the system. In his defense, Kyle Shanahan has come out and said, it's not all about the system. If you're a good runner, you're going to be a good runner. But it's not trending the right direction. So is he the number 1 running back to start the year for San Francisco? I think it's possible. Will he be traded? Will he be cut? Will he lose the job? I think that's a possibility. And to me, a 3rd-round pick in fantasy drafts cannot be filled with words like we think and hope and might.
Yeah.
You need to know what you're getting with Carlos Hyde. So it's too shaky for me. I think leaning on Carlos Hyde with a 3rd-round pick is like trying to grow a garden in an Arizona summer. It's your likelihood of it happening.
It's possible.
It can be
possible,
done.
But the likelihood of you ending up burned is pretty good.
I was going to say, I did this once, and I put in a lot of work.
A garden?
I made a garden, and we had a really nice garden grow, and I looked the other way for about 2 days, and it was scorched earth. It was gone, and honestly, that's what's going to happen to Carlos Hyde.
So you agree?
No,
you agree with that?
I do agree. Carlos Hyde is a talented guy, but the best that talent has ever gotten you is a running back 2 finish. His other years, he's been inconsequential. He's an injury risk. So what you're hoping, if you're drafting him in the 3rd round, you're saying, okay, I don't buy any of this camp garbage about Joe Williams and all the other people. I don't buy it. I'm banking on Carlos Hyde. He's going to be great for the Niners, who aren't that great, and he's not a good pass catcher. And I mean, it's like, what's the real
upside?
What's the real upside? Like, if everything goes right, I think you're going to get an RB2.
When
and
I
if
hear
everything
Carlos
goes
Hyde,
not right, he's going to drop off.
When I hear Hyde in the 3rd, John Stewart in the 8th, I just am confused.
Yeah, that's weird.
It is.
All right.
All right. Which one of you guys wants to throw your bust out there? I'm very interested in both.
Yeah, I can go.
I'll go last.
All right, Jason, you have a name that we haven't talked about a ton on the show, probably because we're not as bullish as others, but who's your bust candidate?
Well, yeah, when I was looking up, I'm trying to find, I'm looking through the ADP and who doesn't belong where they're being drafted, and one name that stuck out to me like crazy is the hype of a rookie in O.J. Howard. Oh, he's going to be a bust if you're taking him as the 11th tight end off the board. I mean, I can virtually guarantee that. I'm not saying O.J. Howard is a bad player by any means. The guy is a beast.
He's a stud.
Physical freak. He could end up going into the Hall of Fame one day, just like Greg Olsen. But just like Greg Olsen, he's not coming in and lighting the world on fire year one. Tight ends just don't usually do that. I mean, the best one in the last decade was Gronk. That was great. I mean, if you're saying he's going to be a generational player, but if you look at what Gronk did in college, it was basically that. If you look at what O.J. Howard –
He gronked out in college.
He gronked out in college. If you look at what O.J. Howard did, in 4 years, he caught 7 touchdowns. But Jason, that was the scheme that he was in, and it's not his fault. Like, sure, okay, it's not his fault. That's what you always hear.
I'm just going to leave. You can have the conversation.
That's what you always hear is that, it's like, well, he wasn't asked to be used in that way. So he's going to come in, and in his rookie year as a tight end, be asked to do that and succeed in the NFL when no other rookie tight ends virtually do this. Let's say he has maybe not the best. You know, you got your Gronks, your Aaron Hernandez. But in the last decade, let's say he finishes with the 5th best rookie season over the last 10 years. He will surpass Jermaine Gresham. Jermaine Gresham is the current 5th best, and he finished that year at the tight end 21.
That's not good.
That is not good at all. And then you've got the fact that, look, Cameron Brate is there. They didn't go all Njoku on where they draft the guy and then kick Gary Barnidge to the curb. They actually drafted him and said, okay, now we got 2 good tight ends.
You know what?
And there's a rapport with Cameron Brate already.
Cameron Brate must have been watching the draft going, what is going on? Why is O.J. Howard dropping? No.
Yeah.
Because this wasn't the plan for Tampa.
No.
They got a great player. But that wasn't the plan for Tampa Bay. Now you do have Brate there. I'm with you on that. I think what's hard with Howard, too, if you draft O.J. Howard, you're buying in, which makes him hard to cut.
Yeah, you're not going to want to
it
cut him
makes
in week
really
2
hard
or
to
3.
cut. It's easy to cut Zach Miller. It's not easy to cut a rookie with the pedigree and the excitement of O.J. Howard. I couldn't believe where he's being drafted. You said 11th tight end?
Yeah, he's the
Give me
11th tight end off the board.
no,
That's a
thank you.
guy you're saying, I'm going to start him.
Yeah. So, all right, Mike.
All right.
I think you've got the hottest of hot takes here on the bust train.
I do. And
he's in our UDK bus too, right?
What's funny about
Yes.
this player is he's going to demonstrate this year how you finish as a wide receiver 2, but you're still a bust.
Because he's going to be a 2?
And that's Brandin Cooks, who is going at the back of the 2nd round. People all around the world are excited.
All around the world.
Brandin Cooks. He's going to a Hall of Fame level quarterback where they score a ton of points, and that's where he came from. I mean, he's making, at best, a lateral move, and he's going at the back of the seconds. Here's the problem with Brandin Cooks. He's also been charted out by Matt Harmon, and he scores very poorly in success in routes run. His contested catch rate, 50%. If someone is blanketed on him, he's not catching the ball. He was surpassed by a rookie to be the wide receiver 1 in New Orleans. In 3 years in New Orleans, Brandin Cooks has seen double-digit targets in a game 6 times. 3 years. It took Michael Thomas 1 year to get to 5 of those games. And on top of that, New Orleans said, yeah, we don't need you. We're going to shift you out of town. We're not going to pay you.
That's because of Willie Snead.
I will grant this. This is the Patriot magic, right? This is Bill Belichick wants this guy, so obviously he's going to turn him into a stud. As much credit as we give Bill Belichick, they have made some very poor moves with wide receivers. I know they hit on Randy Moss, but they
didn't hit on Brandon Lloyd.
They've whiffed several times. But now I'm just going to break down some simple mathematics for everyone. I look at target share. Andy's very intrigued. I know. Don't let your eyes glaze over with the
mathematics.
With the 3 what is it? The 3 M's? Yeah, whatever.
Great story.
I thought you were going Pythagorean theorem or something. But
yes. A squared.
Way off.
Look, since 2013, Gronk has averaged a 22% target share. Julian Edelman, 26% in that time. Running backs, 24%.
There's not enough percent left.
72% of the targets accounted for. Now you have Brandin Cooks, Chris Hogan, Malcolm Mitchell, Danny Amendola, and auxiliary pieces here who are fighting for that remainder 28% of targets. Now the team can certainly switch things up.
People like 90-yard touchdowns, Mike.
Right.
Brandin Cooks specializes in 90-yard touchdowns.
And he'll get some.
Yeah, and he will. And that's why he finished as a wide receiver 1 despite 10 times last year not even being a top 20 wide receiver, which destroyed your week. Now, the team can absolutely switch, bring down Gronk's percentage, Edelman's. It's just if you're drafting Brandin Cooks at the back of the second while Julian Edelman goes a couple rounds later, you're saying Brandin Cooks is essentially taking that spot. You're guaranteeing him over 20% of the target share, and I just don't see that happening. I like Brandin Cooks long term. This is the last year of Julian Edelman's deal. It's very possible the team moves on, as they have shown us in the past. When they think a player is a year from being done, the team will move on. So Brandin Cooks could inherit that spot next season, But this year, I'm not buying in for a second-round pick.
Yeah, if I had to have one of those players on my team and I'm trading, with another league mate, and he says I can have either Brandin Cooks or Julian Edelman, and it's a redraft league, I'm taking Julian Edelman because I have far more belief in a consistent help for my fantasy team than in that boom bust that's going to just not show up for me. And you bring up the fact they're going, several rounds apart, which is silly.
And I don't hear hatred for Brandin Cooks.
Not at all.
I hear way overdrafted, new team, and you've been very consistent in saying you believe in the long-term dynasty value of Brandin Cooks. It's not this year. When Julian Edelman is receiving, you said in games since Brady came back last year, Edelman had what?
Yeah, so
a 30% target share?
Last year, from week 5 out, Julian Edelman's targets, that was 30% of Tom Brady's pass attempts.
Yeah.
He loves Julian Edelman.
All right, so to recap briefly, breakouts, Breshad Perriman, Willie Snead, Stefon Diggs, Carlos Hyde, O.J. Howard, Brandin Cooks. Would love to hear your opinions. You can hit us up on Twitter at the FF Ballers. We're going to hit the mailbag.
Mailbag,
yeah! All right. If you have a question, go to the website, thefantasyfootballers.com. Click the Submit a Question button, send them in. Or you can call our voicemail hotline, 302-464-TFFB. Keep those voicemail questions short and to the point.
Tighten them up.
Keep them nice and tight.
Just lose it a little bit.
Tighten it up.
All right. Later round rookie question, Brady in Eveleth, Minnesota. It's a pretty name for a city. What late-round rookie running back has the best chance of unseating the current starter, Samaje Painbot, someone taking your nickname, Mike, and putting it into practice? Samaje Painbot.
Feels good.
Samaje Perriman to unseat the fat Rob Kelly? That's not nice. Or Kareem the Dream Hunt to take over for Spencer Ware. If you had to pick one of those two to unseat, or maybe unseat earlier in the season, who's the more likely candidate?
To be fair for Rob, he in fact calls himself Fat Rob.
Yeah, it's not mean.
It's endearing.
Yeah,
If you listen to my take on Kelvin Benjamin last episode, I really don't care.
I'm going to answer first because I already know what your answer is going to be, Mike, and it's going to be the same as mine. Samaje Perriman has the better chance to, usurp the guy behind him, and really it's because of the guy behind him. Fat Rob for,
You mean the guy in front of him?
Well, soon to be behind him.
Okay.
But yes, I did mean the guy in front of him. I don't think Fat Rob is a guy that is going to stave him off as long. And you've had in the Washington system that real look. They didn't split Matt Jones and Rob Kelly. They don't want to split that first and second down role. They want the guy to do that. But in Kansas City, there's been a long history of using multiple backs there. So if Kareem Hunt comes in and gets involved and is worked in, that doesn't mean Spencer Ware is going away or that he overtakes him. I think Perriman could just come in and be given that role at some point.
Yeah, it's a really hard one for me. I actually don't have somebody that jumps out and I say, I definitely think this is going to happen. Spencer Ware's productive. They like him.
And what's
Rob Kelly was very productive, and they like him too.
What's interesting about Rob Kelly is, and he grades out actually very well for when people watch him. JJ loves to call him a dad runner, JJ Zacharyson, but on Pro Football Focus, their metrics, they're elusive and breaking tackles. Rob Kelly scored very well for those things. But if it's an unseating, I lean towards the pain bot, Samaje Perriman.
All right, Weston in Colorado says, which rookie wide receiver will have the biggest impact from a fantasy standpoint this season? So obviously you have guys like Corey Davis at the top of that list. Is there somebody else that jumps out for you that you love that has the chance to make a surprise impact? I mean,
Darius
Cooper
Stewart?
Kupp in St. Louis could have a role. Chad Williams in Arizona could have a role right out of the gate. I'm not voting John Ross in this contention. I think Corey Davis is the favorite for me.
Yeah, Corey Davis, he has to be the favorite, but the name I'm going to throw out because I want people to remember this name, it's Kenny Golladay for Detroit. He profiles great for their system. They're a pass-first system. He's a big-bodied guy. Anquan Bolden is gone. Anquan Bolden was a touchdown machine last year. People forget what Bolden was able to do. So keep Kenny Golladay on your radar. Not necessarily saying to draft him, because rookie wide receivers are more frequently just a burden on your bench, and you can't actually play them. But just keep them in mind.
I think Juju is going to make an impact.
You do?
Year one in Pittsburgh. I really do. I think Juju Smith-Schuster, I think they got him lining up in the slot so far.
My boy Eli.
Which means Eli Rogers may miss out on some targets, but this guy is strong, and he can go across the middle. I think I don't know if, he's not going to top this list,
Right.
but another name
Well,
that I'm rising on.
In Pittsburgh, they're even talking about going 4 wide.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I kind of threw it out a little tongue-in-cheek, but our Darius Stewart, I mean, look, if
that's
you're
not
the
a joke anymore.
If you're the New York Jets, you've got Quincy Enunwa and
4 wide sounds like what
question
the
marks.
Golden State Warriors would do if they were lining up.
Yeah.
All right, question from Michael in Medina, Ohio. Are there any dynasty leagues I should join?
Oh,
Griggs.
Michael, wow, I can't believe you
That's
asked
the whole
this
question.
You got to check out footclanleagues.com, an exclusive perk for the people who support this show at jointhefoot.com. Leagues are being created. Leagues are filling up
Every day.
every single day.
We basically made it a perk because so many people were looking for leagues with people that were actually committed
They would care. They
to
would be
playing
awesome.
fantasy football.
They would talk smack and make trades and be active and outbid
And
them on
have
the waiver
fun.
wire and have fun and make community. And maybe you meet the love of your life in this league. And maybe you
Maybe.
get
Very
married. And maybe you
possible.
have children. And we've created a family tree because of footclanleagues.com. Maybe.
Baby.
Maybe, maybe not.
Possible.
We've never had that angle on Join the Foot. Sign-ups tomorrow are going to be through the roof. They promised me babies. All right, last question, Joe in Michigan. What would it take for you to move out from the top 3? What would it take for you to move out from the top 3? And if you decide to keep the pick and take an RB?
Oh.
Rookie picks.
Okay.
Rookie
It took me a while there, Brooks.
Are we talking?
He's saying it's redraft.
Okay,
Untitled.
redraft. So you're in the top 3.
So if you have a top 3 pick, what will it take for you to move down?
You don't get
Got
one
it.
of your big 3 running backs. Your Zeke, DJ, and Lev Bell. They're gone. What's it going to take you to move out of there?
It's going to take me a lot. I want one of those 3 this year. I mean, if it depends on how far back I'm moving, I'm going to assume then I get one of the top 3 wide receivers. I can't imagine I'm going to move out from the 3.
Are you moving out to
down
get
to the 10?
Are you moving out if you could get DeMarco Murray and Jordy Nelson? So first and second, late first and a second-round pick.
No.
Yeah, I'm not either.
It's tempting, but no.
Yeah, it's not. You're gonna have to overwhelm me, or it's gonna have to be a nice mix for my team, based on what I think I'm gonna pick up in the draft. So that is it for today's show. Thanks for tuning in. We'll be back next week with what? We got some sleepers.
It's
some
possible.
values, maybe?
It's possible.
So check
Anything
us
is
out.
possible on this
Anything is
show.
possible. Check us out on YouTube. Subscribe over there. And any parting words, gentlemen?
Yes, check out Fantasy Jocks if you want to get a trophy. The promo code is footballers. I also remembered my joke that I busted. It's the 3 R's. Reading, writing, arithmetic. Yeah, we did it.
Way to bring it back, Mike.
So proud of you.
Hey, see you Tuesday. Goodbye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to another episode of the Fantasy Footballers Podcast. Join our fantasy football community on jointhefoot.com and follow us on Twitter @TheFFBallers.